Hello and welcome to DarkMouse's Daily Scroll with me, DarkMouse.
Me, Thef.
We're here again with you guys, and we are going to jump into a quick match. And this is with quite a cool player. We're using my Decay deck again. As you guys may or may not know, this week is the week of the Friday the 13th. Rawr. And lucky us, the way it works out, Decay will be the deck that I use then. Unless I manage to finish off my Gravelock deck, in which case it'll be that one. Oh dear. And we have with us here a special guest, Zombie Thef.
Hello.
Camp Zombie Thef.
Oh, hello.
Can I say, I think I was born on Friday the 13th.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. Yes.
Which is cool.
Yes.
And my 13th birthday was on Friday the 13th.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
So you've got a Slender Man out.
Yes,
far.
indeed. I have Slendy!
Yay. Hello, Slendy.
He doesn't try and kill me, he kills my opponent. That's the general idea. Of
Well, you
course.
haven't stolen any of his notes.
They keep notes?
Yeah, that's why Slendy's pissed, is because people keep going around stealing his notes.
Oh.
They just left his notes alone, you know.
I don't actually know what the premise of Slender Man is. I just know it's this big slender dude that chases people down and scares the shit out of them.
Objective Slender is to, like, grab the notes off the trees. There's 8 notes. And on each level, and it gets, you know, every game gets more and more complex and graphically impressive and stuff, but basic premise, just grab the notes.
Sweet.
And
So who was Slender made by? Because it's interesting, because I've never actually... Is it like a mod for a game?
we're going into massive TV trope territory here. There's a big, huge, like, background thing of the legend of the Slender Man, and if you look at ancient artwork, there's like this thin dude with tentacles and stuff, and it's pretty fucked up. You can see him in old photos and stuff, and people have really built this mythos up around him.
Sweet.
And yeah, the game was built, I believe, in Source Engine a couple of years ago. Pewdie really brought the exposure to it. Thanks, Pewdie. Big shout out. What's up, bro? Yeah. And it's just kind of grown from there. It's like a successful horror franchise now.
Sweet.
All from free games.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Here's one thing that I want to point out, though. Binding Root on the Maya Shambler
Yeah.
didn't work.
Jeez, that's unpleasant.
Well, Binding Root basically reduces the move value of a creature by 1.
Yeah.
And obviously my opponent thought, brilliant, the Maya Shambler usually moves around, and I can stop that, I can reduce that mobility, because it effectively has a move of 2 before it attacks. You can move it once, then it moves on its own again. So you can funnel it through your lines if you want to. Or if you can do it. I can't do it. I'm awful at using Maya Shamblers. Really
It's all
awful.
good.
But they're a nice, cheap, one-resource creature. But, as it seems, rules as written and rules as intended are conflicting yet again. Because it might reduce its move by 1, but the Maya Shambler still moves before it attacks. It's still rules as written right there. Now, quite a lot of people will probably sit there going, but that's not a conflict at all. What are you on about? At which point I tell them, I think it's a conflict, therefore to me it's a conflict.
I think that the underlying rule with Scrolls is that no matter what you play on a creature, its own rules always apply where appropriate.
Yeah.
So if it says it will always move before attacking, that's not a move you control, so it will always move before attacking.
That's true.
It's like with the Waking Stones, you know, putting
yeah.
hex on it, trying to do 2 damage to it.
Trying to cast it.
It'll only ever take 1 damage. And I think that's how they've resolved rules conflicts, is that the card's own rule always overrides anything you can put on it.
Huh. That's kind of cool. Which actually means, in that case, that the Solemn Giant you wouldn't be able to decrease its countdown. Because it says the Solemn Giant's countdown does not decrease. Unless that only applies to turn-based stuff.
I think it might well be that... Oh god, that's the exception to the rule so far. I think with the Solemn Giant, it says it doesn't decrease. But again, that's contextual to... It won't decrease with turns. Actually paying energy for it.
Yeah.
You know, that...
Because then there's that Decay enchantment that when you put it on that creature, every time a creature dies, its countdown goes down by 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, best way to use that is on something like the Harvester. But if you're playing a high energy deck that has a lot of removal, and if that does work on the Solemn Giant, then you've basically got a way of reducing the countdown of your Solemn Giant for free. You know, you can say you can kill off 2 creatures, and then you've got 4 energy left over. Brilliant, you've killed 2 creatures, and you now only need to use that 4 energy to get your Solemn Giant to attack. If it works like that. It might not. We're not entirely sure.
I don't know. Notch, if you got our tweet and you are indeed watching this, can you just tweet back at us how you sort those issues? Because that'd be cool to know. We'd happily tell people and give a shout out to that stuff. We don't mind either way. We're just interested.
Yeah. In the meantime, guys, if you guys know and you have tried this before or you've seen it tried, let us know, and the first person to contact us might get something particular. They might get we might put them on the show.
They'll certainly get a shout out on the show, and we might even put like a screen cap of your comment up, unless you've lied to us, in which case you will have earned our eternal enmity.
And no cake.
No cake.
Not that you get cake anyway, but now you don't get
There'll
cake.
be even less cake. You're not allowed cake instead of just not receiving cake.
Well, but at the very least, you might get some. We might proposition you for a particular challenge match.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If you place rolls, of course.
Oh,
If you just randomly know, then we'll come up with something else. But
Yeah.
And if you're Notch, then have mercy on our souls.
If you're Notch and you're replying to us via a YouTube comment rather than a tweet, I'll be very, very confused. So well done.
Yeah, you'll have confused DM. That takes some doing.
Well, that's there's something I've noticed about the way I play Decay as well, and I don't play it like ridiculously well, but I do seem to have the knack. I have a lot of luck when it comes down to my Decay deck, because I'm only on 4 resources and I manage to hold my own pretty well. And hell, they've got Infectious Blight wearing their ranks down.
Yeah.
And the more stuff I put on that, there's a might as well down. So now everything that has Infectious Blight on it is going to be taking 2 poison damage.
That's just painful.
Yeah.
It's like really painful.
That's the thing, I don't quite have enough Decay cards to do a Decay deck where it's just the poison with no curse in there whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't think there is enough Decay cards to do just curse. There's quite a few of them. There's things like Cluster Hex, there's Wicked Being, you enchant a creature, when it gets damaged in melee combat, the attacking creature gets curse 1. There's obviously Curse Mongers and stuff like that. But I don't actually genuinely believe that there are enough Curse Decay Scrolls to make it worth playing a purely Curse Decay deck. And I could be wrong. That's just my particular opinion, and my particular opinion might be shit.
I'll be honest, I agree that I haven't seen enough poison dealing stuff for pure decay that you could just do a poison decay deck. A poison growth decay deck, definitely.
Hell
and
yes.
We've seen quite a few of those so far. They've been very, very effective.
We've seen a couple. I mean, I myself, I think I'm going to have a long list of decks. You know what, guys, I'm going to eventually put up in the description just the list of decks that I will be doing. Feel free to put in the comments and add to that list, or say this one's not viable. If you can give me a good reason why a particular deck is not viable, whether there's not enough cards in a particular faction to support it, whether the mix of factions in that particular way won't work, if you can give us a nice, good, constructive argument as to why that deck won't work, then it'll get taken off the list.
Hey guys, he's going to put up a list of decks he's going to be playing with. Sorry, I was holding it in that entire time you were explaining, and then I had to let it out or I would have fallen off my chair with laughter. And DarkMouse's double face palmed. So
That silence you're hearing is my disapproval. However, that particular play I just did is what... Now, you've seen my Necrodarkling play, whereby my opponent's got 1 idol on 2 left, I have a Darkling down and Necrogeddon in my hand. Boom, that's game over. what you've just seen is what I like to call my Grizzly Rockgraft play. You can tell I make these names up on the spot, can't you?
Yay!
Basically, you get your Ilmaya Rot Eater surrounded as much as you feasibly can with other creatures, then play down Grizzly Graft. Because Grizzly Graft basically doubles what you would normally get from the Ilmaya Rot Eater. Because that means that, say, 3 creatures around it die, which is what happened here. 3 creatures die, so it gets +3 for those creatures cumulatively. Then Grizzly Graft's effect is that it gets another +1 for every creature that's got sacrificed adjacent to it as a result of enchanting it with Grizzly Graft. Which means it gets another +3. Which in the case of a 4/4 Ilmaya Rot Eater, adding +6 to that makes it 10/10. Now that is a 3 resource decay card, and it's all of a sudden far worse than a 7 resource Iron Ogre. It doesn't have Relentless, I'll give you that. But mix in a little bit of energy in there, and I'm going to be, at some point, doing a Decay energy deck. Probably quite soon, actually. You might see that sometime soon. Maybe. We'll see. If you would prefer to see me playing with an agglomeration of resources, if you're kind of bored of seeing me play with the same old decks, let us know in the comments. I don't mind criticism, as long as it's constructive. I do mind people saying, just change the way you play your shit, because that's not helpful. Helpful comments are nice.
Yeah, we go quite by the idea of rationality is important here. If you want to tell us to go die in a fire, then fine, but at least give us instructions on how best to go die in that fire.
Or why you think we should, more to the point.
Yeah.
We're not actually encouraging trolling. I will make that very clear. We are not encouraging people to tell us to go die in a fire just because they can explain how. No. So now, things like that. You can poison the Ilmaya Rot Eater, but so long as your opponent can keep sacrificing creatures to keep it alive, its attack's going to get ramped up as well. What you really need to do with it is just be able to kill it outright.
Yeah.
Now, this growth player is giving hella what for in this. I am really having to work to really, do damage. And again, this is all of 4 resources. I don't know how I managed to actually get this far with just 4 resources. I couldn't do it with energy. Obviously, with energy, I've got the best removal is Violent Dispersal or Thunder Surge, and they are 6 resources. I don't know, what do you reckon? Do you maybe think because Decay...
I think Decay is able to sustain itself on a lot less resource than other decks. I think Growth and Decay are very much good at playing to, say, between 4 and 6 resources comfortably. Energy, you need to comfortably hit about 10 within the first 20 or so turns to make it worth playing. Order, I'm not so familiar with. We don't see as many people playing Order. I play Order, but I'm not particularly good at it yet, I'll be honest. I can commentate on plays and stuff, but I'm not a particularly good player. I'd say that, yeah, again, you can hit Entropy with 4 or 5 resources with Decay quite happily.
Fair enough. Cool. At which point, it's a case of, well, what do you guys think? What is the lowest amount of resource you've been able to use for any particular deck, and was it useful to you? Did you find it was better to be able to sack the cards after a particular point? Because I found that for energy, I could get to 6. I used to be able to get to 6 resources, and as long as I sacked for a lot of cards after that and played particularly well, I was generally okay. But obviously, as time's marched on and as playstyles have evolved, and the people that I've played against have become more experienced, and obviously as the game has been out for longer, so we get an influx of new people in, which brings in new strategies and new ways of playing, and entirely new deck compositions. That has had to change. So now you'll see me sacking up to 10 resources. I think once I went up to 12, maybe?
Yeah.
But that's rare occasions, because the ability to just go Thunder Surge twice is brilliant.
Yeah.
But no, I don't always get to do that. But when I do, it's awesome.
So here's the other question relating to Scrolls for you guys to think about. Is it a more honest game than things like Magic, where you can indeed just go, right, I'm on eBay, I'm going to buy that card, that card, that card, and that card, and suddenly my deck is uber. Whereas with Scrolls, it's very hard to get hold of say I wanted a Solemn Giant, I couldn't just go out and buy a Solemn Giant.
Yeah.
I would have to find someone to trade with, or I'd have to wait for it to come up in the Just For You section, which could take years.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could keep buying random scrolls until I got it.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't particularly want to encourage this, but you can, if you really want to, spend money on shards and just gold farm by buying the precons and selling off the cards. Though in saying that, I don't know if you can do that, because a lot of the cards I have, when I got to sell them, are grayed out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've stopped you from doing that.
You
like
can't
that.
sell cards from your basic precon. You can buy new precons and sell them, but your first pre-constructed deck you can't sell any cards from.
Interesting.
Which makes sense, really. You know, it stops people just selling off the ones that they don't want and then, like, you know, massively building up more stuff.
This is very true. And I think this is GG for my opponent. And they played a really good game. I mean, they've managed to get a lot of creatures out at the end. And they were tearing chunks out of me through that.
Yeah.
And I was tearing chunks out of them as well. It's just the unfortunate thing is, I managed to use a Grizzly Graft with an Ilmai Rotator. The combination is deadly.
Yeah.
And as a result, I now have a 12-7 Rotator that is about to just go...
Yum.
Yeah. I think people kind of forget what the Loyal Darkling can do. I think Decay is still new enough that people don't quite... They don't read the cards of a new creature they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And I would always encourage that. If you haven't seen a card before, read its description. Make sure you understand it. 90 seconds isn't long, but it's long enough for that, as long as you have some form of strategy in your head as to how you're going to play your cards.
Yeah. So, go for a Decay Scroll today.
Indeed. We have over 1,000 gold, and in tomorrow's edition, I will let you know what the scroll format for buying scrolls is going to be over the next however long, until I get to my quad colour deck. Once I get a quad colour deck, and once I have proven its worth and gotten it to the point where it's completely synergistic, then
Start playing it.
well, not only to the point where it start playing, but after that, once we've proved with a few games that it's good like that, that'll probably be the end, I'm afraid.
Oh.
Because we can't keep this going forever.
Well,
But that's going to be a long way off. I still need a lot of cards before I can do
you
that.
could always turn this into the weekly scroll, I guess.
True enough.
A single televised game per week wouldn't be a bad thing.
Very true.
After all,
But,
I mean, they're going to keep adding new content, keep the game updating. It is just a beta, so we'll keep covering that.
exactly, yeah. I mean, as they release new things, we'll cover those new things. But if that's after the point of the quad deck, then that'll be where the official daily scroll stops for being daily. So, we'll see you next time, guys. Please like, favourite, and subscribe to support the series. I'll catch you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.